In this video, I'm going to be talking about sentry wards and how important sentry wards are during the laning stage and why it's important to monitor, keep track, and to basically view sentry wards as a metric for whether or not you are winning or losing the lane. So, to go over some just fundamental heuristics for the laning phase, especially as a support. In this example, I'm going to be playing as the position 4 Earth Spirit. I'm going up against the position 5 Disruptor. So, general heuristics. As a support, it is my job to enable Tidehunter to get as much gold and experience as possible. And I'm going to do that by leveraging my big camp to use this to control the wave equilibrium to try and keep the creep wave in my team's power pocket as much as possible. In general, the closer the creep equilibrium is to my tower, the safer the farm is for Tidehunter, and in general, the more likely that I am winning the lane. Now, the same thing can go for a Disruptor too. He's going to be leveraging his small camp to keep the lane equilibrium in his power pocket to enable the Gyrocopter to safely farm. But what is one thing that can completely disrupt the creep camp that will completely disable you from how you can do your job as the support in lane, and that is a sentry ward. Now, the reason why I describe sentry wards, as a metric for whether or not you're winning or losing the lane, and why there's this skirmish over the sentry wards in high-level Dota play, is that sentry wards can completely take out a camp. So if before the game starts, before minute 0, if I walk up here and plant a sentry ward in this camp, this creep wave or this creep camp doesn't exist. And now Disruptor has no means to control the creep equilibrium. So if Tyner does a good job with denying and controlling the lane equilibrium himself, and the wave is right here, this is going to put Gyrocopter in a pretty poor position, make him vulnerable to me going on him and potentially getting a kill. And how is Disruptor going to quote unquote fix the lane for Gyrocopter? Traditionally, he would want to pull the creep wave up to pull the creep wave back, right? But since he can't do that because the camp is blocked, so he has two options. He either can pull the big camp up through there, like so, but if I'm down here, that's going to be extremely easy for me to block since there's such a big distance to cover there. Or Disruptor can walk down here and basically drag the creep wave up to back behind the tower. Or I guess he has three options. Either pull the big camp, pull the wave, or walk up to the creep wave and nuke it with his Q. If he has 2 points of Q or something, he can nuke the creep wave to basically kill off my creep wave, slingshot their creep wave into our tower, and then the creep wave will probably slingshot back to a little more advantageous position for them. But looking at the two other options, or I guess the three other options, ultimately he would always want to pull the small camp if he has the option to. But with this sentry blocking this camp, the three options that he has to fix the lane after that are all going to be basically difficult or completely shut down by me. So what is the response to this? Disruptor is going to buy his own sentry wards to basically deward the camp. Now this is where the skirmish over the sentry wards really comes into effect, is that it wouldn't really matter as much if the sentry wards were an infinite supply like they used to be. But in the current patch, in the current state of the game, where sentry wards have a very finite supply, each kill on a sentry ward that you can get is a very, very big deal. And the fact that, let's say I plant this here, he dewards it, I plant another one, deward him, that could only go back and forth for so long until one of us basically has the quote-unquote sentry advantage, where I have a sentry ward left and he doesn't have any left, or we both have any left, but the last sentry ward available to both of us is on the camp, which permanently permanently blocks it for the laning stage. And when I'm playing, especially in these super Sentry heavy games, each kill that I could get on an enemy Sentry ward is a big win for me, because one, I'm probably going to block another camp, extend the time in which I'm, disabling Disruptor from doing what he wants to do. I'm costing him 50 gold each time he buys a new Sentry ward, but also, each Sentry ward that I destroy is one less Sentry for him, and there'll oftentimes in my games there will come a point to where if Disruptor feels like he can't leverage his small camp, he's just gonna leave the lane. At which point, the laning stage at that point is effectively over, and I won the lane because basically I could pull one more time for Tidehunter if the creep wave is up here, and then once the creep wave is, reset from my pull, I can just leave and do whatever I want because I'm no longer locked down with Disruptor being here as well. So, to recap, Sentries are important because Sentry wards can completely block the supports from doing what they want to do if you are a good support player. Sentry wards are in finite supply, which makes getting kills on Sentry wards a very, very big deal. And if you can quote-unquote win the Sentry battle and basically make it to where you have their camp permanently blocked for the rest of the laning stage, you essentially won the lane. You are going to either force the enemy support to play in the lane with the carry, at which point they're just griefing them, or just leave entirely, at which point the laning stage ends and you won the lane.